The Habs' first line has been playing out of its mind as Nick Suzuki shows that he has that superstar potential. I'll be talking about that, plus his line mates Cole Caufield and Kirby Dach, and where they rank among 2019 draftees this season. Next, I'll be talking about Martin St. Louis, who spoke a bit on the Habs Powerplay, and finally, we'll top it all off with some news about Owen Beck, so you won't want to miss this episode of Habs Digest. Hello, bonjour, ahoy, and welcome to today, November 13th news edition of Habs Digest. I'm your host, Josh Gosse, and before we start, 82.4% of you guys who are watching are not subscribed. We have daily Montreal Canadiens content, so if you don't want to miss a thing about your favorite team, the Habs, this is the spot to be. Our first topic today is talking about the first line. Caufield, Suzuki, and Dach, they are playing out of their minds right now. If you've been watching the games, or at least watching our game recaps, watching our news videos, you know how hyped we are for this first line. Ever since Martin St. Louis put them in a game together for the first time, they have been clicking. Dach especially is the perfect complement to that first line, and things have been rolling. Take a look at this graphic. In the 7 games since the Habs head coach Martin St. Louis put them together as his number 1 line, Suzuki has 7 goals, 5 assists, 12 points. Dach has 3 goals, 8 assists, 11 points, and Caufield has 4 goals, 5 assists, and 9 points. So 12 points, 11 points, and 9 points in just 7 games together on the first line. That's well over point per game pace for all of them. It's an insane pace. Maybe it's not sustainable, but I think it just shows how good these guys are, especially Nick Suzuki. When Nick Suzuki came into the league, we saw he had lots of potential, a good bit of offensive potential, but it really felt like his defense was something that maybe put him over the top as a center. We thought, man, he has a lot of defensive potential. Things kept ramping up, and then last season we had a bit of a down year where Suzuki really needed to be the man for Montreal, especially with Cole Caufield's slow start under our former head coach that I will not name. Suzuki really needed to carry a lot of the scoring load, and he ended up leading the team in points with, about 60, somewhere around there. But his defense dropped off a little bit, not just because, he wasn't trying on defense, because he had a much larger offensive load, and our defense wasn't quite what it was when we made the Cup finals. No more, Shea Weber wasn't able to be there, and just things collapsed last season. But this year so far, if you look at it, he's been an amazing 200-foot player. He's been putting points on the board, leading our team in goal scoring and total points. But not only that, he's been amazing on the penalty kill with amazing 200-foot play. He's been poking the puck away, lifting some sticks. His defensive positioning is incredible. And, the question has to be asked, is he a superstar? I don't think he is quite yet. I think, the term superstar is thrown around a little too lightly these days, but I think he has the tools to become a superstar if you don't consider him one already. We need to see this season play out first. It is definitely way too early to definitively say it because, let's be honest, it's a small sample size. It's 15 games. Sure, he has 19 points, 10 goals in 15 games, but it's likely that that's not going to be sustained. At the same time, though, you can see that the pieces are there for him to be an amazing player. I'm seeing fans from other teams say they're tuning in to watch Montreal because of Nick Suzuki. Yeah, Cole Caufield's great too, but Nick Suzuki, as Filip Mesar said, if you watched our last news video, is just so smart on the ice. The things he does, the plays he makes, the things he sees is on another level. And, we talk about him so much, but nothing will be able to be done, without Caufield and Dach, who are the best duo of their draft, and they're Nick Suzuki's line mates. I accidentally just showed the picture, but I'll just show it here now. Look at this! The 2019 NHL draft scoring leaders for this season. So of all players drafted in the 2019 entry draft, here are the point leaders so far this season. We have Cole Caufield leading the way, more than Jack Hughes. He has 9 goals and 16 points in 15 games. Hughes is second, but Kirby Dach, who, let me remind you, he didn't have the fastest start of the season. He wasn't producing points right off the bat. Most of these points, if we look back, Kirby Dach has 11 points in the last 7 games, and he only has 14 points on the season, which means he only had 3 points in the 8 games before he was put on this first line, and he is still ahead of the likes of Trevor Zegras and Matt Boldy, Dylan Cousins, super highly touted, highly producing prospects from that draft who have been playing around the NHL. We say Nick Suzuki is maybe the heart of the team at this point. He's the captain. He's our leading scorer. He is our leader, no doubt about it. But where would he be without Caufield and Dach really filling into their roles amazingly? This first line is up there for, maybe not one of the best in the league, but it must be in the conversation. Just from a sheer point-producing perspective, if we're talking so far this year, you can't leave them out. They are right up there in the conversation with some of the best first lines in the league, just from a sheer point-producing perspective, and also some of the defensive ability of Nick Suzuki, and some of the, offensive zone control ability of Kirby Dach, and the ability of Cole Caufield to keep the puck away from the defense. Everything is clicking for these guys. And then, like I said, look at that 2019 draft. Kirby Dach was the 3rd overall pick. Caufield was much lower. I mean, there's lots of jokes about how Cam York was picked ahead of him. If you guys haven't seen that video of Philadelphia Flyers fans in a bar waiting, I'm all chanting for Cole Caufield, and then the GM to go up on the big screen they had in the bar, and he said, "We select Cam York." Everyone just puts their head in their hands, and look what ended up happening. Cole Caufield came out of that draft being far better than Cam York, and right now is the highest point producer out of that class this season. Sure, Jack Hughes, Matt Boldy, Trevor Zegras, these guys are all also amazing. But Kirby Dach's ahead of the likes of them too. Not only Caufield, Kirby Dach as well. And let me also remind you guys, that's the 2019 draft class. It was 3 years ago. Cole Caufield and Kirby Dach are 21 years old. Nick Suzuki is 23. Those two are 21, and they're putting up crazy point totals. Their chemistry is otherworldly, and we're going to have them locked down for... Well, I mean, Suzuki's on that 8-year contract extension, right? We'll have Caufield easily for that. We have Dach for a few years right now, but if he keeps clicking and putting up points like he is right now, there's no doubt in my mind that he'll get a nice payday and he'll end up staying. We're going to have these guys probably for 6, 7, 8 plus years, and they're going to be the core. And at the end of, let's just say 8 years from now, these guys are going to be, Suzuki will be, 31? And Dach and Caufield will be 29. We have such a bright future ahead for Montreal right now, and things are all clicking right at the right time for us. And speaking of clicking, I wanted to talk as well about our power play, because while we maybe haven't been scoring a ton of power play goals, we have looked way better on the power play. And if you watch that game against Pittsburgh, you know what I mean. It felt super fluid. It felt like the guys knew what they were doing a bit better. Our zone entries were better. We were doing better at not turning the puck over, say, early in the power play. And Martin St. Louis had a great quote about it. Look at this. Quote, "We're starting to be unpredictable to the other team, but very predictable to each other. When you get there, you start to really look like a power play." And this is just such a breath of fresh air. Have you heard anything like this coming out of, a Habs coach, special teams coach in the past number of years? Because I haven't, and it seems like a lot of you, who are out on maybe Reddit or Facebook or Instagram, wherever, you guys haven't heard this kind of stuff either. Martin St. Louis, the quotes he's put out this year have been outstanding. It really feels like he knows how to coach a team, how to get a team where they need to go. And this quote here is just amazing to me. "Being predictable to each other but not to the other team is how you succeed as a power play." It's something that really makes sense. We hear it and we're like, well, yeah. But has that ever really been verbalized? Yeah, maybe some people have said it before, but the fact that St. Louis is saying that, he's telling his guys, this is what you need to do. We need to be smooth to each other, but we need to be unpredictable to the other team. And as he's mentioned, Coach St. Louis has said, Caufield is a focus on the power play. We all know it. All the other teams know it. But they're playing for that. Right? They're expecting him to get the puck. They're expecting Suzuki to go through the middle and maybe look for a dish. But we've been switching it up. We've been firing a lot from the point. On a power play just last game, Jonathan Drouin fired a point shot that rebounded right to Sean Monahan. Not something you really think of when you think of a Habs power play. But we're moving the puck well. We're getting the shots we want. And we're confusing the other team. They think they have a game plan to go against us because, let's be honest, a lot of us thought, well, it's just going to be Caufield. We'll see how the other teams adjust to it. And it did look like that for the start of the season. Our power play was bad. But now we're mixing it up. We're getting touches to other players. We're getting more opportunities, way more chances. And just in general, not even just on the power play, but in the game itself, this team looks like they have a ton of chemistry and they're confusing the other team. We had so many more shots than Pittsburgh just last night, and I really hope that can continue because Montreal has looked like they're finally starting to click, which is crazy because we're already blowing expectations out of the water. And we still look like we're just starting to get rolling. So many aspects of our game, of Montreal's team game, is improving day by day. And I just can't wait to see what's on the other side of this. Our final topic for today, quick hitter at the end, as we always do with the Habs prospects. Owen Beck had a hat trick just today. I believe it was just about an hour before I started recording this video for the Mississauga Steelheads in the OHL. Owen Beck has been dominating. If you haven't been watching his highlights, you really should. I'll probably put a link to his to one of his goals in the description, because he had 2 goals in regulation and he had a beautiful winner in overtime. He took the puck in basically 1-on-3, got all the way to the net, was stopped, but then recovered along the sideboards, deked another guy, and sniped it from the high slot. This kid is so impressive. It looks like he should be way out of the OHL. Same thing with Filip Mesar. These guys are way too good to be where they are. Their skill level is on another level, basically. And it really looks like they'll be able to contribute for the Habs very, very soon. Like I said, I'll put a link to that overtime goal in the description. You guys should all go look at it. Guys like Mesar, guys like Beck. I mean, we look at guys like Sean Farrell, too, who we really don't mention a whole lot on this channel. But there's so much middle six potential for the Montreal Canadiens. And I say middle six because how are we going to beat our top line of Caufield, Suzuki, and Dach, right? But these guys all look like they'll be able to contribute soon, especially Owen Beck, who has been on a tear in the OHL, and I'm excited, and you guys should be too. That'll do it for today's news edition of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're so close to 2,000 subscribers. Please give us a subscription if you haven't already. We have daily content. You won't want to miss anything we have to say here. I've been your host, Josh Gosse. We'll catch you in the next video.